The Geneva Centre for Security Policy has invited one of the Russian leading experts on South Caucasus, Professor Sergey Markedonov, to share his views on the recent events in Armenia. We have discussed the challenges and opportunities of the Velvet Revolution and its implications on the Armenian foreign policy. Please join us for this one-on-one interview and hear his insights on these issues.
In Armenia, in order to say that events in this republic are not compared, could not be compared with Ukrainian ones as well as Georgian, they introduced their own vision or idea. They characterize those events like Velvet Revolution in order to find parallels with similar events in the Eastern Europe at the late of 80s of the previous century. I suppose we can speak about transit of power, because now we see change of elites. We can find a lot of reasons for this transit. First of all, those events were not surprise. We also should understand that Armenia is a country established by protests, because in the late of 80s in the previous century, mass protest for the unification between Mother Armenia and Nagorno-Karabakh established current Armenia. Those protests promoted consolidation of the Armenian nation over idea of solidarity between people in Nagorno-Karabakh, Armenians all over the world, and Armenian independence. And then practically every electoral campaign for presidency or parliamentary campaigns were accompanied by mass protests. Nikol Pashinyan was well known long time ago. He was one of organizers of mass protests in 2008 events, very tragic in Armenia, when protesters opposed the law enforcement agencies, and as a result 10 people were killed, and those events till nowadays are considered to be national trauma, and many Armenians are interested to investigate those events. Nikol Pashinyan addressed to the justice to those events. Of course, Nikol Pashinyan exploited idea of anti-corruption fighting, and so on and so on. Of course, he is a populist leader, but you know that populist wave is popular, sorry for this repetition, in Europe, not only in Eastern Europe, but in Western also, and the post-Soviet country in the context of wider Europe is not exclusional. This Velvet Revolution, or so-called Velvet Revolution, opened both chances and risks. On the one side, of course, every elite should be rotated, because otherwise we can see some kind of, not traffic jam, but power jam. No excess of fresh blood to key bodies of the power organism at all. And this is why this transit is useful. But as for risks, we see a lot of traces of populism. For example, Nikol Pashinyan tries to ignore basic institutes. Pashinyan has a great popular majority, but no guarantees that in a year, 2 years, he would have the same popularity. But it would be usual for him to be a leader and winner. In 2-3 years, he could say, no, I'm not interested to provide electoral campaigns because I think I'm so popular, maybe some counter-revolution forces try to challenge me, and so on and so on. It's a great opportunity to enjoy the leadership with no challenges. This is why I see risks in this direction. Anti-corruption campaign got a lot of popularity, but anti-corruption campaign with any system changes is not so useful. It would be campaign. It's necessary to understand. This is why we can speak about maybe risks of selective anti-corruption campaigning. The other point is Nagorno-Karabakh. Because for Armenia, for domestic and foreign policy, this idea is crucial. This discourse is very important, because many people try to consider Nikol Pashinyan like Democrat, and this is why they have made another logical conclusion. If Nikol Pashinyan is Democrat, if he shares popularity with people, if he's supported by the most of population, maybe he would make some compromises negotiating with Azerbaijan. But it's illusion. Because in the countries of the post-Soviet space, democracy doesn't contradict nationalism. Moreover, they overlap each other. And don't forget that one of the reasons of absence of support to Sargsyan was his behavior in April 2016. That time for so-called 4 days war, very fast escalation, military escalation. In the front line in Nagorno-Karabakh, Armenia lost some territories, not huge ones, but nevertheless. And many people in Armenia treated it like maybe betrayal of Serge Sargsyan, absence of willingness to deter Azerbaijan, and they believe that Nikol Pashinyan would be a decisive person, brave guy, who would stop any Azerbaijani desires to break status quo. And we saw already some steps of Nikol Pashinyan to strengthen the brutal style of negotiations. For example, he said, we could have opportunities to continue our negotiations with Azerbaijan only with engagement of the Nagorno-Karabakh de facto state. No negotiations without this engagement. It's interesting because now we have seen some traces of combination of pragmatic ideas or practices and rhetoric for popular audience at the Nikol Pashinyan side. It's risk and it's a chance also. At the same time, this popularity also opens the way for some maybe painful but necessary reforms in sector of security, in economy, and so on, so on. Let's see. Because now we see Nikol Pashinyan standing at the crossroads, and he faces a lot of different directions and opportunities. Armenia is a very important country for Russia. First of all, it's the only country in the South Caucasus where Russian troops are deployed. Armenia shares with Russia the two integration projects, like Eurasian Economic Union and Collective Security Treaty Organization, called Eurasian NATO. It's a metaphor, I understand, but nevertheless. And of course, Russia is the biggest investor to the Armenian economy. And one more point, the biggest Armenian diaspora community lives in Russia. The second one in United States, the third one in France, by the way. This is why Russia takes a special care on the domestic agenda and developments in Armenia. It's not coincidence that recently Russian Minister of Foreign Affairs Sergey Lavrov expressed his, care, special take on Armenian domestic developments, and this reaction was not totally supported in Armenia. I suppose that there have been a lot of suspects in Russia concerning this Velvet Revolution or Colored Revolution. Up to date, Nikol Pashinyan has not made any steps which could be treated like anti-Russian. He has not raised question on membership in Eurasian Economic Union and CSTO. He has not made any special takes on NATO, for example, or European Union membership. It's not the case of Armenia. He has not raised any questions on the Russian economic presence in the Republic. This is why all key issues of the agenda are kept from the previous times. The NATO direction is closed for Armenia. Why? Turkey is a NATO member country, and Turkey, after the United States, has the second military potential in this alliance. But Turkey at the same time supports Azerbaijan, geopolitical counterpart or opponent of Armenia in the region. You know that Armenia and Azerbaijan have no diplomatic relations. The same situation is with the relationship between Turkey and Armenia. This is why I'm not sure that NATO is an option. At the same time, Armenia is interested to have ties with the West. First of all, It's due to Azerbaijan, because Azerbaijan is a very important energy partner of European Union and United States, in spite of any problems with human rights abuses and so on. But in this way, Armenia is not interested to give Azerbaijan a unique chance to monopolize the Nagorno-Karabakh problems. Of course, Armenians have diaspora, numerous diaspora, in the United States and France. Moreover, the two countries of the West, United States and France, together with Russia, are co-chairs of OSCE Minsk Group. It's important. This is why they are interested to have constructive, pragmatic relations. But it's not about the choice between the West and Russia. Now we see that previous course, which was called previously complementarism, is continued. Armenia is satisfied by the level of cooperation. Armenia sees a lot of opportunities to deepen this cooperation, but it's not about the change of geopolitical vector. I suppose that we usually oversimplify the post-Soviet agenda. This is why a lot of nuances. Yes, there are some basic priorities. For Georgia, it's NATO. For Armenia, it's Russia. But nevertheless, there are a lot of nuances and details which we should take into the serious consideration.